Okay, as a few of you have heard before, the Andes is the second tallest mountain range in the world and absolutely towers over the city of Santiago. I went last July. Santiago's midwinter, and there was an icy air off the mountains that kept the temperature right down despite the sunshine. These mountains are staggeringly beautiful. You're welcome! The city of Santiago itself is a mixture of old and new. Chile's recent earthquakes last February and March sadly damaged a lot of beautiful old buildings. However, many have been restored and earthquake-proofed. There are a lot of military-style buildings and statues, but also some great modern sculptures too. Valparaiso is about 1.5 hours drive from Santiago and is Chile's main industrial port. It's built on steep hillsides and the houses themselves are built on stilts. 13 steep funicular railways help locals get to and from their precarious homes to the main shopping area, which is near the harbour. It's well away from the Andes here, and the temperature is much warmer. Stall owners paint the sides of their stalls, creating works of art. Chile is famous for its monkey puzzle trees, which were very different from our own. There's one in the bottom left photo, a tree with the horizontal branches. The houses fascinated me, this one in particular. Apart from being so narrow, it starts as a one-storey building on one side and ends as a four-storey building on the other. It's hard to give the true impression of just how steep the roads are, as photos tend to flatten the image out. It was really extraordinary. There were some beautiful old buildings in Valparaiso with exquisite details. The strangest one was an old building that had been damaged by the earthquake. They decided to restore the outside and plonk a modern glass building in the middle instead on the right. It's a bit like a square egg in a square egg carton. Totally bizarre. About 2,500 miles and 5 hours flight from Santiago is Easter Island, also known as Isla de Pascua or Rapa Nui. This tiny island, only 15 miles long, is a tropical paradise. And the day we arrived, it was like summertime. Although being a tiny island, it's subject to dramatic change. Easter Island is most famous for its incredible Moai statues. They know of 900, though more may have been buried by earthquakes. They represent the important ancestors and stand facing inland to keep the souls of the ancients protecting the living Rapa Nui on the island. The top knots represent their hair, not hats, and were carved from the red volcanic rock. They also used to grind this rock up to dye their own hair red. The quarry where the Moai were carved is a softer type of rock. They had no metal tools and had to use hard rocks to carve them. Once the front and sides were carved, they managed to slide them down somehow, down the mountain, into pits, landing upright so they could carve the backs. Though you can only see the heads of some, they all have bodies down to the hips that are buried into the ground. They're all different, and the one on the right even has a red dyed beard. They don't know how the Moai were transported, and some of them are massive. This man standing on a rock is 6'3". We could actually get very close behind the statues because it's not sacred ground behind. We could get quite close. The one on the right is 27 metres long. 24 of us, with a group called Explore, travelled to Chile and then on to the Easter Island, where we camped for 4 days. There were beautiful ancient and modern carvings absolutely everywhere, and the Rapa Nui seemed totally obsessed with carving anything. The more two-dimensional carvings are called petroglyphs. Bird Island is very significant to the Rapa Nui and was used to decide who would govern the land for that year. A little bit different from the system over here, but I think it would be really good actually if we got all the TDs and things to swim over to an island and collect eggs. I think it would be fantastic. Easter Island is predominantly made of extinct volcanoes, and there are some stunning caves on its beautiful coastline. Inside Anakai Tangaka were cave paintings on the roof of the Birdmen that looked like the earrings I'm wearing. You can have a look later, it's pitch black in here so you can't see them. And these were carved from blue shells. Talking about volcanoes, the crater here is very deep and filled with pure rainwater. Growing in the water is a floating rush-type plant that the Rapa Nui used to make rafts. This rainwater was traditionally their only source of fresh water, as Easter Island has no rivers. I was really lucky to witness a solar eclipse from the top of this volcano. We puffed up the original path that the Rapa Nui men would have climbed before attempting to get to Bird Island, and found ourselves places to sit looking out across the Pacific, and also over the airport. Although the sun still shone brightly up until the last few minutes, the temperature really dropped dramatically and the sky above started to get dark, with Venus and Mercury appearing, even though the horizon stayed light throughout the whole of the total eclipse. The total eclipse lasted for 4.5 minutes, and where we were positioned, we had totally clear sky. We were really lucky. It was an extraordinary experience, and the camera couldn't capture the violet flames that flicked out around the edge of the moon. It was just breathtaking. The day before the eclipse, we'd had 24 hours of torrential rain, so we thought we weren't even going to see anything, which made the day even more special. At the campsite that night, they'd cooked traditional food in a fire pit, which was delicious, and they finished this perfect day for us with a display of dancing. We've got it wrong. I said, there we go, traditional Rapa Nui men dancing. And the men were being all macho, and the women were being beautiful and graceful. And that night, the sky was absolutely cloudless, and I gazed at the stars for hours, and I saw 9 shooting stars. And I can tell you, it was the best holiday I've ever had. And now it should say thank you.